Hey, what's up everyone? It's Dolbeck. There's a woman that was just like my ex. She did the exact same thing and then she did it to the wrong guy. And let's see what happened.
Question: who is Emma Gabbey? Okay, the charges have shifted. There's many names in this document, but it all begins with Emma Gabbey and these charges that she was being held against her will by the Tate brothers, which is horrific, by the way. Now it makes sense if the U.S. embassy got contacted and they then contacted Romanian authorities. You can see why this was a very big case, which is why I believe the U.S. embassy did nothing wrong here, nor do I believe that the Romanian authorities necessarily did anything wrong. Could you imagine being Romanian authorities? Big bad America is on the line, and we're telling you that there is an American victim that is being held captive against her will by somebody that is living in Bucharest, Romania. Yeah, that's kind of a big deal. So who is Emma Gabbey? First, I'll tell you who she is according to the Tate brothers, who is suing her in Palm Beach County, Florida. According to them, again, if you want to take their word for it, Emma Gabbey is a predator who has a long history of baiting men into sexual relationships for the specific purpose of destroying their lives. She has a chain of victims going back several years to when she was a minor. Her modus operandi is as follows. She devises sophisticated narratives to elicit compassion and sexual attraction from unsuspecting men. She uses these men as hosts, taking what she wants for personal, emotional, and economic gain. At some point,
You
she
see what my ex was telling me? It's his other ex, the dude she was with just before me. He was treating her bad and shit like that. And at the end, after like 3 years of relationship, she told me that it was her that was treating him bad and not him. You see what I mean? So it's just a chain like that. They just abuse and do all the guy like that and destroy them all back to back. And this is one of the main reason why the mental health crisis is going really high. It's because of the narcissistic pervert. And if you go look on internet, the description of pervert narcissistic, this is really really bad. All right.
begins to exert control through intentional infliction of emotional distress, causing injury to the host. If her efforts to control do not produce an immediate return on her investment, she revokes consent for prior sexual acts and threatens to have her host arrested for rape unless her demands are met. She is a serial extortionist and blackmailer who preys on successful men. On multiple occasions, she has accused innocent men of horrific crimes, resulting in their unjust incarceration.
My ex did not throw the rape asshole, but she threw like she was speaking in my back to all his friends. She was saying she was not with me and she was with me. Like it was really really bad. When I heard at the end the reputation she was making to me, it was really bad, and everything she was saying to the cops was so wrong. Like I was working hard, I was only smoking weed, I was not really taking drug, and she told the cops that I was doing huge drug and I was a big drug addict. Like it's just stupid, man. Like she told me to go at his home and meet her, and then when I'm there, there's another friend with her, and she was lying to his friend. This friend was not supposed to be there, but it was like a visit that she did there, and I was there at a bad moment. Because she was lying to her. I was not supposed to be there, but she called me to go there, and then what are you doing there? I told you you're not supposed to be there. And then I passed like a creepy dude who would just follow her around or shit. Bro, man, I have all the message, I have all the proof on the message on Facebook and shit. She told me to go and I go, man. Like I was sure I was in a relationship, so it make people look fucking bad, all right.
And damage to their professional and business reputations. Andrew and Tristan Tate are the latest victims in her trail of terror and destruction that has negatively affected the lives of dozens of men and women, all with disastrous consequences. Okay, so that is very interesting. It's not often that you hear something like that regarding a woman. The era of Me Too in America is men, and we got all these allegations and against men and women.
The only reason why we don't hear it a lot, it's because the men, we learn to just not complain about this stuff. When a woman hurt us, we don't go see the cops, hey, I need help. We just get hurt, and then we go do our thing, and we rise up again without throwing action on the people all the way, like girl doing, lying all around.
Women step up and they say, I was sexually assaulted and he's a serial rapist and things of that nature. But here, what they're essentially saying is that you have a woman who is doing this to men, who is extorting them for money, who is using them, and who is putting them in compromising positions. So I thought this is an easy thing for me to actually research, to really get behind whether or not this is all nonsense, whether or not the Tate brothers are calling this the Matrix, and when in fact they actually have a real victim here who suffered. A victim who I want to say I welcome Emma Gabbey. If you hear this, and I know that you have a lawyer, if you would like to sit on this show and detail what happened to you, I will give you a platform, and I mean that, okay?
I wish to air that, all the lie.
To Emma Gabbey, I was wondering who she was, and here are some facts that you should know. Before she ever met a Tate brother, Emma Gabbey was a sex worker. She had her own Pornhub account, and she could be contacted via a sex hotline. Again, that is before she ever met a Tate brother. She also had an OnlyFans account and a TikTok account before she ever met a Tate brother. She also was active on the website seekingarrangements.com, which if you guys are not familiar with seekingarrangements.com, it's essentially a sugar baby website. So it's young girls go on the website, they look for men that are rich and have money. And the concept really, even though it's not explicitly stated on the website, we know what goes on, obviously, in those exchanges. Maybe the sugar daddy will pay for their rent, pay for their lifestyle. In exchange, obviously, we assume that on the back end, they are having sexual relations. So these are just the facts.
And the people are gonna always say that it's the man that creates those sites, but there's a lot of women who work in that type of site and into those type of agency, like way more than we think.
I'm giving you about her is not to paint her in a derogatory way. It is just pertinent to know that because there are many people that are walking around assuming that this was some innocent person that was trafficked over to Romania and then was forced to work against their will in the pornographic industry for which they knew nothing about. That is not the circumstance. It is.
You see, like, we hear human trafficking everywhere. I feel like the word human trafficking is losing a lot of power because it's used for way too many things that it's not human trafficking. Just wake up, like, come on.
Relevant to this case to discuss her history before she ever met a Tate brother. But I mean, you dig further, she's actually been involved in other cases as well. The first case involves a man who I am not going to name, and the only reason I'm not going to name him is because at the time of the allegations against him, Emma was, in fact, a minor, and that, of course, is relevant. So we just want to be ethical here and not expose his name so that people can look up the case because, as I said, she was underage at the time. Essentially, it was believed that she was having sexual relations with him, and the courts found that to be true. And he is now been sentenced to 24 years in prison. Why is that relevant? Because since then, people are alleging, which we are going to get to, that she lied about her age and that she lies about her age repeatedly. And though, despite the fact that he is perhaps not a moral man, he did fall victim to her lying. Throughout this episode, by the way, you're going to hear some beeps when I'm discussing this case. If I accidentally say his name, we intend to just beep it out. Again, just to protect the fact that she was, in fact, a minor at the time of these accusations. There were 2 girls that were involved in that case, just to be clear, and one of the girls admitted flat out to having an outright sexual relationship with him, including sexual intercourse. Now let's talk about Marlon Fisher. Who is he? He is a man that is currently suing Emma Gabbey in the Florida courts. He says that she deployed a combination of sophisticated false narratives, fraudulent identification cards, and emotional outbursts to lure him into her trap. For example, she would detail to her techniques in written text sent to people that she misled about Fisher. She would explain how she would devise a sympathetic backstory, being an orphaned child without a loving household, which made it extremely difficult to form meaningful, healthy relationships with other people, including her adoptive parents. So this is a text message.
You see, my ex was using the same strategies. She was always saying his dad beaten her. It's why she have a hard time to to have good relationship and always crying and screaming and eating herself, eating her dog. She was beating a chihuahua, man. Like people think women don't do wrong, but beating a chihuahua, it's the chihuahua cannot retaliate. I had a dog, American bulldog, 92 pound, and she hit him once, and then she just do rah rah rah, and she was fucking scared, man. Like the only reason why women don't really hurt, it's because they don't have the power to hurt. It's not because they like yeah. I'm gonna stop and keep that going.
Message that Marlon Fisher is alleging that Emma Gabbey sent to people regarding him. Now, to be clear, before I read this text message, I am about to read you a lot of text messages that apparently came from Emma Gabbey and other people throughout this episode. As a general disclaimer, these text messages are a part of cases that are pending and have been submitted to the courts. They have signed affidavits swearing that these are true. I independently, of course, have no means to individually authenticate these messages and to say to you that these are definitely real and I'm holding the phone. So you're going to have to trust the people that are submitting them are not risking getting into trouble by swearing in statements that they are true. So going back to this text message, the first one reads from Emma Gabbey, again, out to all of her friends. I need to open up and tell you all something because I owe it to you, the people I care about. You have each moved me so much in my life that I am able to do it. I have a problem. I am a pathological liar. My life started in Kazakhstan, where I grew up in a loveless orphanage. We were picked up facing away from the caretakers, so we never developed love. I never learned how to hug, smile, kiss, touch, or be close to anybody. I was adopted by incredible people named Mona and Bill, who saved me from a life of abuse. I had a beautiful childhood because of them. When I was 11 or 12, I began to dissociate and resent them. I felt unwanted and like I had no family, so I began to rebel, doing drugs and meeting lots of different people. It goes on to state that as she would deepen her manipulation, like a drug addict, she would seek out and desire more potent forms of sexual exploitation to satisfy a seemingly insatiable emotional void within her. She would pursue men like Fisher, who she never developed any sort of real emotional loving attachment with, and demand that Fisher perform abusive, masochistic sexual conduct on her in the bedroom. These, again, are alleged text messages from Emma Gabbey to Marlon Fisher, who is...
I always took care because my ex, at the end, she was asking me to be hard with with her, and I never been hard with her because I knew it was like, it's just like, she wants you to hurt her so she can go to the police and give them evidence that you hurt her. Like the worst thing that can happen is to give that type of sex to the woman, like, because she cannot, like, she gonna use it. So it's nah, man, don't use hard sex on that type of woman.
Pursuing her in court, so he has filed these. She wrote, my C word is craving abuse. I wish you were here to bite me. I wish I was gagged and tied up like an F slut right now. Maybe you can leave pretty little bruises on me. I love it when you gag me. Would a butt plug go off through a metal detector?
You see, like, those things that she say, it leave proofs. Like, if you get tied, it do some mark, the bruise and shit. It's some evidence that she can... It's not only for the police, it's for the other guy that she want to say, hey, look, I'm getting beat up, so she look like that, and his girlfriend around, all his friends, she just lie to them and just make it up.
And to give context to that message, the context that was provided by Marlon Fisher, she was asking Marlon Fisher if wearing her butt plug would set off the courthouse metal detector when she needed to go through in order to meet with the district attorney who was prosecuting the person that I just told you about, which is why it is relevant. Again, this is being told by Marlon Fisher, so I can only say allegedly these are her actual text messages. Now, Marlon Fisher began to suspect that she was lying about her age. Now, remember, is serving a prison sentence. His life has pretty much been destroyed here. But the pattern of behavior, again, this is coming from Marlon Fisher, that was used on him represents the same pattern of behavior that she used against her other victims. They believe, the Tate brothers believe, that was induced into an illicit sexual relationship with a minor under false pretenses. According to Marlon Fisher, performed deviant sexual acts in the bedroom, such as urinating on her during intercourse.
Oh.
On multiple occasions, Gabby attempts to force Marlon Fisher.
And you see, it's maybe her that asked him to pee on her, you see what I mean? Like, it maybe don't even come from him, but that's fucking disgusting, man.
Out of his sexual comfort zone, asking Marlon Fisher to choke her harder during intercourse and demanding that Marlon Fisher perform BDSM and other sexually masochistic acts. At some point, Marlon Fisher learns that Emma Gabbey is a minor when she had a sexual relationship with, and that she apparently lied to him when they first met, and that was going to do serious time because of it. So again, just to understand, she's got this trial going on with, she is now with Marlon Fisher, and he begins to suspect that she lied about her age. Fisher came to understand that was going to be sentenced to decades of incarceration because of her accusations, and he knew that she had lied about her age before their first sexual encounter. Marlon Fisher also knew that if Emma Gabbey would have offered that information to the court, the fact that she lied about her age, then sentence would likely have been substantially lessened away from the decades-long sentence that he is now serving in prison. Marlon Fisher confronted Emma Gabbey during the situation, and this is the following exchange that took place between Emma Gabbey and during a text message conversation where Emma Gabbey refuses to disclose her real age because doing so would negatively affect her credibility in her impending case against. Emma Gabbey writes, "Okay, Marlon, if you're looking for me to publicly tell my actual age and name today, or before my case is over," this is referring to her case against, "I'll sadly have to inform you that I won't. If that is what it takes to prove myself to you, I won't be able to." After being confronted, Emma Gabbey then employs a psychological attack known as gaslighting to tactically avoid answering Marlon Fisher's questions regarding her age. In gaslighting, Gabby accuses Marlon Fisher of attempting to blackmail her, which is precisely what Emma Gabbey is actually doing to Marlon Fisher. She then casts herself as the victim, arguing that in exposing the truth, Marlon Fisher had betrayed and abandoned her, which in turn, in her view, gave her license to extort Marlon Fisher. These are, again, text messages between Emma Gabbey and Marlon Fisher. Emma Gabbey writes, "If you chose to blackmail me, I would have no choice except to be honest with the world about what you've done to me. Why? And you would have to suffer repercussions of the truth. Among several men that are attributing to my problems and behavior."
You see, he's trying to quit her, and because she know he's trying to quit her, she attack him harder and harder. And was like the same that was happening with me and my ex. Like, more I was trying to quit, even harder she was coming with some fucking crazy thing that was putting me in trouble if I was not staying with her. Like, this is insane.
"Of whom I also have evidence for." Fisher writes back to her, "I hear your points, and I'm not manipulating you to do anything. You could do something to prevent me if this were blackmail. There is nothing you can do. I hoped you wouldn't be shallow and selfish. I hoped you would show me that you care. You show me that you don't care at all." Emma writes to him, "You blackmail, betrayed my trust, and abandoned me." Emma writes, "Thanks for abandoning me." So in another conversation, it goes forward, and he is still trying to get her to come clean about the fact that she lied about her age regarding the situation. Now, there's no relationship between and Marlon Fisher. He's just doing this because obviously he thinks that it's wrong that this man is about to go to jail for decades based on somebody that was not honest about her age. But on her way to meet with the prosecutor in the trial, which is shocking, somehow she is able to combine his suffering with sexual gratification. This is demonstrated by a conversation where Gabby inquires with Marlon Fisher about whether or not her butt plug will set off the metal detector in the courthouse. She writes this, Would a butt plug go off through a metal detector? How does this end? Well, it ends with Emma Gabbey filing documents against Marlon Fisher. On September 16, 2019, she walked into Palm Beach County Courthouse and filed a temporary injunction for protection against domestic abuse against Marlon Fisher under what he claims are false pretenses. He says that she asked him to go to a concert with her. He declined to. She got angry. She filed a restraining order under oath in Florida State Court where she accused Marlon Fisher of severely abusing her. Marlon Fisher, distraught, did not know what to do. Now, just as a reminder, they've engaged in BDSM, according to him. She wants to engage in BDSM, and so now she is claiming that she has been abused. So you can imagine this obviously presents some suffering. He says that she had already been threatening to turn him in for statutory rape. So in an act of desperation and under duress, Marlon Fisher accepted the false allegations of the restraining order to avoid a potential statutory rape charge. This later on, Emma admits via text with Mark Fisher that she didn't really want the charges against him to be that strong. Mark writes to her, "The things I remember being on it," this is obviously the protection order, "was that I was a heavy user of illicit drugs, would beat you when you tried to leave, restrained you from leaving or calling the cops, often left you on the side of the highway if you said anything to upset me, that I had been stalking you and showing up places that I knew that you would be after you ended things." So in this text correspondence, once again, and this is going to become relevant later when we get to the Tate brothers case, is that she's claimed that she's been restrained from leaving, that she's not allowed to leave this guy, Marlon Fisher. She responds to him by saying, "That's so effed up that I wrote that. I'm going to clear this up. Not to defend any of this, but to clarify, I promise I never said that you were a user of drugs." He then says, "You weren't the one writing it?" She says back, "The things I think she meant to say wrote, were definitely reworded and exaggerated. They asked me of events and then they reworded my words in the official injunction document. I was brought in to speak to two lawyers, the legal aide who had just finished law school that was defending me and her colleague who was training her. I'm incredibly sorry that what I said encapsulated a completely false narrative, especially that paints you as a terrible person because you aren't. You never deserve to be treated that way. Nobody does. None of it was okay. Absolutely none of it. If there is anything you can think of that I can do to prove that I understand that and truly am repentant, question mark. Okay. So let's move on. That is the person number 2 that she has had a relationship with. Now, again, I'm just giving you the facts of the case. You can look these cases up yourself. They are public. And again, I told you that is playing out in Palm Beach. The next case, and I want to be clear here, I have seen people online circulating saying that this woman, that Emma Gabbey, caused a man to commit suicide. I want to say that that is something that is an allegation that I would not stand by. I think it's completely circumstantial. Obviously, this young man, Dustin Milner, is dead, so there is no way to confirm that. But I'm adding this to his list because his brother is willing to testify in the Andrew Tate case that is pending against Emma in Palm Beach. Dustin Milner's story is arguably the most heartbreaking of all. Interviews with family and friends strongly suggest that the proximate cause of Milner's tragic suicide was his relationship with Emma Gabbey, who targeted, abused, devalued, and manipulated Dustin Milner to the point where he took his own life. Our two strongest sources of intelligence regarding this tragedy are Dustin Milner's brother, Jason Milner, and Dustin Milner's close friend, Adam Heinrich.
She make a dude take his own life and she keep doing it after that? What the fuck is that? Like, you don't you even feel something? Bro, no way, man. Like, I know it can affect really hard, and I'm rough, so it's why I did not kill myself at the end. But I can clearly see, like, someone who get in jail, get hated by everyone for fake reason and beaten and shit. Nah, man, you don't want to live like that.
It basically goes on to say that, Dustin Milner had already had depression issues before he ever met her, and that their relationship didn't help the situation. And he eventually killed himself. She was kind of in and out of his house. He was madly in love with her,
He had already had depression issue. What that mean? He was already a easy victim, and she saw it and used it as a full potential she had till he fucking ended it.
for her in a very short period of time, even though she never actually moved in with him, but would spend small amounts of time at his home, only to then disappear and then reappear at a future point. According to his best friend, her behavior made Dustin angry and depressed and exasperated his already depressive condition. He also stated that Gabby was the very last person to see Dustin before he committed suicide. So they feel that their relationship led to his suicide, but again, that's circumstantial. There is no evidence here that could back this up. She didn't tell him to kill himself. And so I just want to make it clear that in digging into this, I didn't feel comfortable suggesting that she made him commit suicide. But that is something that you're seeing circulating online. So I just wanted to clear that portion of the conversation.
I feel comfortable with it, and I say that yeah, she deserves to take the blame about it. Yeah.
Up. Moving on to a young man named Tyler Hensel, who believes that he was fraudulently also induced and into a sexual relationship with Emma Gabbey, and that he was also extorted. Tyler Hensel was another boyfriend. Summary of his statements is as follows. Emma Gabbey led him to believe that she was 26 years old when she was really 17 at the time. I'll just pause there and say, how many times and how many men can say that they're being lied to about somebody's age before we believe them? I'm just asking the question. It's just, I've never been accused of lying to men about my age, but I'm just noticing that there is a pattern, and it's important to note that these men did not know each other when all of these things are going on. So yes, she led him to believe that she was 26 years old when in reality, she was just 17 at the time, in order to induce Hensel into an illicit sexual relationship. Again, this is according to Tyler Hensel. Hensel, who was 35 when he had intercourse with her, was thus deceived into believing that he was having an illicit relationship, thereby demonstrating another instance where Emma Gabbey induced a man into having unlawful sex while still underage. Emma Gabbey repeated her psychologically abusive playbook on Hensel. She targeted and manipulated Hensel, a recovering drug addict and therefore a particularly vulnerable man. She played up her own perceived vulnerability to buy Hensel's sympathy, fabricating a story about her parents being drug addicts. Hensel is a well-intentioned man. He travels the world helping others with opioid addictions find organic treatments. He was therefore the perfect host to believe her lies, which he found convincing, and felt sympathy towards her, given the emotional backstory she told him that included a history of drug abuse, which he could readily relate to. Upon inducing him into sex, she doubled down on her masochistic tendencies, indicating to Hensel, like to Marlon Fisher before him, that she was into BDSM and insisted on calling him daddy in the bedroom. At one point, when the two of them were alone, Gabby even jumped on top of Tyler Hensel, initiating sexual contact. Hensel, who was not into this kind of degrading behavior, often rejected her demands for more aggressive sexual conduct. Eventually, upon discovering that she had communicated a different age to someone else, Hensel started questioning her about her age, which got her to confess to him that she was actually only 19 years old. After discovering these revelatory facts about Emma Gabbey's life, he cut off all ties with her. He told her that he did not want to speak with her anymore, and he blocked her on every social media platform. Now, again, this person, she never ended up filing anything against. He essentially figured out how old she was, blocked her, got out, and is offering this account to people that are investigating her. Then we have the defamation of Joel Friedman, that she defamed a man named Joel Friedman, and this is an actual text message. How do we know about this defamation against Joel Friedman? Because she wrote it in a text message to Marlon Fisher. As a reminder, Marlon Fisher is the one that is pursuing her in Palm Beach court and providing text messages that he shared with her. She falsely accused Friedman of rape by telling Marlon that she was raped by Friedman. This is the text message exchange between Marlon and Gabby. Gabby writes, "Can I message Joel to tell him that I have a boyfriend?" Marlon Fisher says, "As you clearly understand, nobody cares that you have a boyfriend, but if you'd like to tell him that he raped you, by all means." Emma says, "I'd like to not put our relationship at risk. I'll gladly tell him when I'm 18 and anybody else that happened with." So sweet you are. You're breaking up with me because I don't want to tell Joel that he raped me. One, I don't know if he would tell other people that I'm underage, or who he would tell. And if they know that I'm dating you, what happens then? Two, it'd be awkward to go to a drum circle again, LOL. Marlon Fisher ended up actually confronting Friedman. You imagine your girlfriend tells you that she was raped by some other man, you're going to go defend her, obviously. And he's basically saying to her, you better go say something to him about the fact that he raped you. He needs to know that he raped you. And she's kind of coming up with the reason, oh, no, I don't want to say anything. Oh, and he'll know that I'm underage, blah, 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 blah. This might impact us. Well, eventually, Marlon Fisher confronts Friedman over the rape allegation. Friedman, purports to be an innocent man, of course, denied those allegations. He stated that he came to know Emma Gabbey in or around 2018 by meeting her at a drum circle evening in Delray Beach. He knew her by the name of Eden, but only recently he found out that her name was Emma. He recalled that Emma Gabbey specifically told him that her name was Eden. Friedman stated that they had a dating-type relationship but were never intimate and shared the passion of music together. Gabbey informed Friedman that she lived with a man named... At some point, she told Friedman that she was being abused by a man, but Friedman never saw any signs of abuse. At another point, Gabbey began telling people that Friedman was her brother, which made him uncomfortable. Finally, Friedman learned that Gabbey had accused him of rape after he was confronted by Marlon Fisher. Regarding the false allegation of rape against him, Friedman stated this: "This allegation of rape is an outrageous and blatant lie. I've never had an intimate relationship with Emma Gabbey and never forced myself on her. I give this affidavit to get my side of the story out. As I understand, Emma Gabbey was making defamatory statements to other people about me." So that's really interesting to see
Damn.
a person who has a pattern. These men
She did not even sleep with him and she was doing the thing. Holy fuck.
that are coming out and making statements via an affidavit that about their relationship with her, about how she lied, about how she manipulated. But this pattern of speaking to one man about the last man and claiming that she's in a compromising situation is what these men are saying. That is something that is interesting. She comes and she says that she's in a compromising situation and the other person's here to rescue her. She's telling Marlon that Tyler Hensel raped her. She's talking to this person. She's talking to Friedman and saying, oh, this other guy that I'm dealing with is raping me, or I'm in a compromising situation. This is her pattern of behavior before she ever meets a single Tate brother. Again, you can pursue these online. You can read these statement affidavits yourself. We are days...
So you see, the girl passed from a guy to another, and she asking the guy on purpose to do harm to her in the bed so she can show to the other guy she's been hurt. And yeah, then she just do it to all the other guys, and every one of them that she killed, she just destroyed their reputation at the end. That's fucking wild, and this is really happening, and there's a lot of women like that nowadays. So this is kind of crazy. We need to take care, and I feel like the people say like the men are lonely or something like that, but it's not that. The men are just in jail if we are in a relationship, and we feel so much better if we are alone. Like, just why would I have a girl like that would destroy my life? It's just more risk than reward. You need to value risk and reward, and if the risks are too high and the reward are too low, it just doesn't worth it to go for it. So if the girl are too much risk and low reward, just don't go for it. And there's too much for like that. So you need to go into church and find a woman in church, cause or into another country more traditional. Cause yeah, the woman nowadays there's too much narcissism. Like I feel like the feminist movement just create more narcissisms every day. It just gets worse and worse, and you can see the dog. They stay good dog, they don't change, but the human is not like that. We just get it worse and worse, and what it create is some mother that try to show to their children how to live. The children are not even with their father. They bring other man into the life, so the children just see the woman like the woman lose value into their head. Like, if you have a mother that just gets railed by a lot of men, your mother gonna lose value in your head, and all the women around just gonna lose value just because you're gonna see the woman more as an object. She uses herself as an object. It's not your perception; it's what she do with it. And yes, so let's hope there's some change in the society soon. There's so much speech about that. I think it's gonna change, and Yeah, like let's just hope that the justice system gonna develop a better way to defend the guy, because right now if we get accused, we have more chance to lose than anything. Peace out.